Good morning, Emily. Welcome, Queen. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Millionaire Book Club. My name is Prairie Hunter. Side effects of tapping in with me every single morning do include personal development, mindset transformations, paradigm shifts, and the ability to think your way to success. So I'm super, super blessed, super grateful that you are here for another read today. Drop me something that you're grateful for in the chat. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this day. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for another chance to serve in my purpose. I'm grateful for my parents. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my spouse. I'm grateful for nature. I'm grateful for the universe. I'm grateful for waking up this morning in good spirits. I'm grateful for choice to choose to be happy today, to be positive. I'm grateful for the ability to start my day off in a positive way, to learn something new, to gain some new ideas. So tell me something that you are grateful for. And if y'all can hear me, drop a 1 in the chat. If y'all can hear me, drop a 1 in the chat. Okay. Somebody having trouble. Good morning, Quincy. Welcome, King. Good morning. Drop me something that y'all grateful for. I just told y'all my long-winded list. I'm grateful for a lot of stuff, including you. And while y'all doing that, I'll get the daily word read. Let me put my little mic on. Oopsie. I'm grateful for books. Yes, Emily, me too. We are, I like your page. I see that you do books as well. That's super cool. I started in January 4th, and we are on our 9th book, Queen. So this is what we're reading today. This right now, Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. And I know it's called the Millionaire Book Club, but the millionaire part basically means that wealth is a state of mind, right? Wealth is a state of mind. Wealth is a state of consciousness. And from all of these new ideas that we learning in these books, we already millionaires because we got millionaire mindsets. Lovely day, and I'm grateful being here. Thank you, King. All right. So the daily word for the day is guidance. Okay, guidance. I am open to receive divine guidance. When walking at night, I may rely on a flashlight or lantern to make my path visible. I avoid barriers and pitfalls because I can see the way clearly. The guiding light of the Christ presence within is always shining brightly, illuminating my path through life. I open my mind and heart to receive when I ask for guidance and place my attention while listening deeply. Consciously attuned to spirit, I enter the inward holy place of peace, exercise my faith, and expect to receive. Asking for guidance along my journey keeps me mindful of my divine light. My guidance leads me to the path that is right for me. I give thanks for the illumination of my next steps when my guidance is revealed to me. Oh, send out your light and your truth. Let them lead me. Let them bring me to your holy hill and to your dwelling. And that's Psalm 43:3. So guidance, I am divinely guided. Okay, that is a affirmation that I say daily. I am divinely guided. I am divinely connected. Everything happens in divine right order at divine right time, right? So let's pull us a card. This is the Four Agreements card deck. The Four Agreements is a book by Don Miguel Ruiz. Super, super dope book. It was our 5th book that we read in the book club. So we got our card. All right. So the agreement for today is always do your best. Okay. Honor yourself. Always do your best and honor yourself. It's like a little number 1. I love this card because I love doves. And then the dove got a crown. So I just really love this. I was just saying yesterday, how I wanted to get a dove tattooed on me. I want it to be like right here. Honor the man or woman that you are. Take the risk to express your dream. Taking action is about living fully and expressing what you are. Okay? Honor the man or woman that you are. You are unique for a reason. You're an original, not a copy. And you're not supposed to be. Okay? And then our next one is don't make assumptions. Be aware of unconscious assumptions. Be aware of unconscious assumptions. I like this card too. I see the moon. I got some sacral chakra energy going on, some third eye. I love it. It says assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously most of the time because we have agreements to communicate this way. Okay? Assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously most of the time because we have agreements to communicate this way, right? We programmed. We have agreed that it is not safe to ask questions. We have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. Okay? So today, don't make assumptions. Communicate directly. Speak what you need. Don't assume that people know, because people don't know. The only thing people know is what they going through in their own mind, right? They figuring out their own stuff. So you can make their journey easier by just letting them know what you need. They can make your journey easier by letting you know what they need. All right. Let's get the read started. I'm ready. So we started chapter 3 yesterday, and we're going to finish up today. I stopped on page 55 yesterday, and this chapter 3, is all about fear. Like uncovering our fears, getting to the root of our fears, not when you're thinking about fear, not just thinking about the branch, right? If you look at it as a tree, you want to get to the root of the problem. You don't want to like start critiquing the branches, because it can be a whole bunch of those and you can clip one branch, but if you got 10 other branches that's toxic, or you know what I'm saying, infected, then your tree is still in bad condition. But when you get to the root of fear, now you are really changing. You really stirring things up. You are cleaning yourself up. Okay. So we start on page 55. If I say something that resonates with you, drop an MOC in the chat. MOC basically means moment of clarity. It's my way to connect with you guys, to know that you are taking value from this. You are learning something. You still with me at the very least, and you haven't fallen asleep on me. So MOC, moment of clarity. Good morning, Barb. Welcome, Queen. Welcome. All right. So the cause of fear: attachment. The cure for fear: detachment. Though we are developing intimacy with our fear, we want to see it as its own entity, separate from us. When we talk about our emotions, we usually say we are that emotion. I am angry. I am sad. I am afraid. Talking to our fear separates it from us and helps us understand that the fear is not us. It is just something we're experiencing. When you meet someone who gives off a negative vibe, you feel it, but you don't think that vibe is you. It's the same with our emotions. They are something we're feeling, but they are not us. Try shifting from I am angry to I feel angry. I feel sad. I feel afraid. A simple change, but a profound one, because it puts our emotions in their rightful place. Having this perspective calms down our initial reactions and gives us the space to examine our fear and the situation around it without judgment. When we track our fears back to their source, most of us find that they're closely related to attachment. Our need to own and control things. We hold on to ideas we have about ourselves, to the material possessions and standard of living that we think define us, to the relationships we want to be one thing, even if they are clearly another, right? So stuff can be visible, but because we want that control, we want it to be how we want it to be. We hurt ourselves, right? Because we don't know when to cut our losses. That is the monkey mind thinking. A monk mind practices detachment. We realize that everything from our houses to our families is borrowed. Clinging to temporary things gives them power over us, and they become sources of pain and fear. But when we accept the temporary nature of everything in our lives, we can feel gratitude for the good fortune of getting to borrow them for a time, right? Even our children. Even the most permanent of possessions, belonging to the most wealthy and powerful, don't actually belong to them. This is just as true for the rest of us. And for many, indeed most of us, that impermanence causes great fear. But as I learned in the ashram, we can shift our fear to a soaring sense of freedom. Our teachers made a distinction between useful and hurtful fears. They told us that a useful fear alerts us to a situation we can change. If the doctor tells you that you have poor health because of your diet and you fear disability or disease, that's a useful fear because you can change your diet. When your health improves as a result, you eliminate your fear. But fearing that our parents will die is a hurtful fear because we can't change the truth of that matter. We transform hurtful fears into useful fears by focusing on what we can control. We can't stop our parents from dying, but we use the fear to remind us to spend more time with them. In the words of Santa Diva, it is not possible to control all external events. But if I simply control my mind, what need is there to control other things? This is detachment when you observe your own reactions from a distance with your monk mind, making decisions with a clear perspective. Okay? So I feel like with that comes with already having that positive mindset, right? Because, okay, if we think our parents gonna die, if that's a fear that we have, then it's either going to get on top of us to the point where it's a distraction and it's depressing us, or it's gonna do like what he said, it's gonna be used as motivation, right? As fuel. Okay, I feel like this, I realize it, I recognize it now. What am I going to do, right? How am I going to not allow this to affect me the way that it can? I'm gonna spend more time with my parents. But some people don't think about that part first. They get overwhelmed by their sadness and they start grieving before somebody even pass away, right? Grieving and really you manifesting it at that point. If you are in that, giving out all that energy as if it's already happened, you are creating, right? And you're not necessarily creating it for them, like you're not running their situation, but the experience that you're going to have, right? There's a common misconception about detachment that I'd like to address. People often equate detachment with indifference. They think that seeing things, people, and experiences as temporary or seeing them from a distance diminishes our ability to enjoy life, but that's not the case. Imagine you're driving a luxury rental car. Do you tell yourself that you own it? Of course not. You know you only have it for the week, and in some ways, that allows you to enjoy it more. You are grateful for the chance to drive a convertible down the Pacific Coast Highway because it's something you won't always get to do. Imagine you're staying in the most beautiful Airbnb. It's got a hot tub, chef's kitchen, ocean views. It's so beautiful and exciting. You don't spend every moment there dreading your departure in a week. When we acknowledge that all of our blessings are like a fancy rental car or a beautiful Airbnb, we are free to enjoy them without living in constant fear of losing them. We are all the lucky vacationers enjoying our stay in Hotel Earth. Okay? When we acknowledge that all of our blessings are like a fancy rental car or beautiful Airbnb, right? When we don't just feel like, you take stuff for granted. That's why they say, what's that little saying that they say, like when people have to take some time apart or whatever, because you take stuff for granted? I don't know. Detachment is the ultimate practice in minimizing fear. Once I identified my anxiety about disappointing my parents, I was able to detach from it. I realized I had to take responsibility for my life. My parents might be upset, they might not. I had no control over that. I could only make decisions based on my own values. Try this, okay? Gotta try this. Audit your attachments. So this is some action steps. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of losing? Start with the externals. Is it your car, your house, your looks? Write down everything you think of. Now think about the internals. Your reputation, your status, your sense of belonging. Write those down too. These combined lists are likely to be the greatest sources of pain in your life. Your fear of having these things taken away. Now start thinking about changing your mental relationship with those things so that you are less attached to them. Remember, you can still fully love and enjoy your partner, your children, your home, your money from a space of non-attachment, right? So, not feeling like you control or this person belongs or this thing belongs to you. It doesn't belong to you. When you look at it like it's borrowed, like he said, the rental car or the Airbnb, when you look at it like I'm enjoying this for this time, then you appreciate it more, right? It's a non-attachment to it. It's not yours. It doesn't belong to you, right? It's about understanding and accepting that all things are temporary and that we can't truly own or control anything, so that we can fully appreciate these things and they can enhance our life rather than be a source of griping and fear. What better way to accept that children eventually go off to live their own lives and call you once a week if you're lucky? This is a lifelong practice. But as you become more and more accepting of the fact that we don't truly own or control anything, you'll find yourself actually enjoying and valuing people, things, and experiences more, and being more thoughtful about which ones you choose to include in your life. Okay? So audit your attachments today. Really think about it. Give yourself that space. And the thing about what I love about doing these is nobody has to know, right? This is literally you and you. If you want to hide it from yourself, you know what I'm saying? You can be open and you can be honest. Write it down. You ain't got to turn it in. Stuff that you really fearful of, because you can't heal what you hide. You'll never heal it. So put it all out there and work through it. Managing short-term fears. Detaching from your fears allows you to address them. Years ago, a friend lost his job. Jobs are security. And we all are naturally attached to the idea of putting food on the table. Right away, my friend went into panic mode. Where are we going to get money? I'm never going to get hired again. I'm going to have to get 2 or 3 gigs to cover our bills. Not only did he make grim predictions about the future, he started questioning the past. I should have been better at my work. I should have worked harder and longer hours. When you panic, you start to anticipate outcomes that have not yet come to pass. Okay? Fear makes us fiction writers. We start with a premise, an idea, a fear. What will happen if? Then we spiral off, devising possible future scenarios, right? How many times do people do this, right? We do this. I know y'all do this because I do this. Everybody does it. But this is something that we want to grow from, right? Because it's not positively serving us to plan the future out negatively, to think the worst, right? To have these grim predictions about the future. When we anticipate future outcomes, fear holds us back, imprisoning us in our imaginations. The Roman Stoic philosopher Seneca observed that our fears are more numerous than our dangers, and we suffer more in our imagination than reality. Ooh, I like that one. Our fears are more numerous than our dangers, and we suffer more in our imagination than reality, right? Why? Because our imagination is right here for us, right? And reality is right here for us as well. But we manifesting for the future, not the now. Your imagination is right now. And that is why you have to do your best to control it right now. You know what I'm saying? MOC for Queen Keish. Thank you, Queen. That's why you have to do your best to control it right now. You can't think the worst. Okay. We can manage acute stress if we detach on the spot. There's an old Taoist parable about a farmer whose horse ran away. How unlucky, his brother tells him. The farmer shrugs. Good thing, bad thing, who knows, he says. A week later, the wayward horse finds its way home, and with it was a beautiful wild mar. That's amazing, his brother says, admiring the new horse with no small envy. Again, the farmer is unmoved. Good thing, bad thing, who knows, he says. A few days later, the farmer's son climbs up on the mar, hoping to tame the wild beast. But the horse bucks and rears, and the boy hurled to the ground and breaks a leg. How unlucky, his brother says, with a tinge of satisfaction, right? Good thing, bad thing, who knows, the farmer replies again. The next day, the young men of the village are called into military service. But because the son's leg is broken, he is excused from the draft. Right? Everything happens for a reason. His brother tells the farmer that this surely is the best news of all. Good thing, bad thing, who knows, the farmer says. The farmer in this story didn't get lost in what if, right? What if this happened? What if that happened? He didn't get lost in what if, but instead focused on what is. Okay, MOC for the king. That's what's up, king. Thank you. The farmer in this story didn't get lost in what if, but instead focused on what is. During my monk training, we were taught, don't judge the moment. Okay? Don't judge the moment. Take time to think. Take time to respond and not react. We want to be responsive. Most people around us are reactive. That's why it's so much road rage. It's just so much, like, I don't know, just lack of care for someone else. because people are reactive and they feel entitled and they want control, right? It should be my way because I'm me, right? The greatest of all. Okay. I passed along the same advice to someone I advised who lost his job. Instead of judging the moment, he needed to accept his situation and whatever came of it, focusing on what he could control. I worked with him on first slowing everything down, then acknowledging the facts of his situation. He had lost his job, period. From there, he had a choice. He could panic or freeze, or he could take this opportunity to work with fear as a tool, right? Using it as an indicator of what truly mattered to him and to see what new opportunities might arise. When I asked him what he was most afraid of, he said it was that he wouldn't be able to take care of his family. And that's most people fear, right? That's most people fear. I gently urged him to be more specific. He said he was worried about money. So I challenged him to think of other ways he might support his family. After all, his wife worked, so they had some money coming in. They weren't going to be out on the street. Time, he said. Now I have time to spend with my kids, taking them to and from school, helping them with their homework. And while they're at school, I'll actually have time to look for a new job, a better one, because he slowed down, accepted his fear, and gained clarity around it. He was able to defuse his panic and see that fear was actually alerting him to an opportunity. Time is another form of wealth. He realized that while he had lost his job, he had gained something else very valuable. Using his newfound time, he was not only more present in his kids' lives, but he also ended up getting a new, better job. Reframing from the situation stopped him from draining energy negatively. Listen, because most people, they do the opposite of what he did, right? Reframing the situation stopped him from draining energy negatively and encouraged him to start applying it positively, right? And I love that he said time was his wealth, right? And it's all about your perception about how you view things. He could have just been looking at it like, oh, now I don't got no job. I don't, right? Just focused on the lack. But he found the abundance, right? Accepted the situation for what it was and found abundance. Yes, time is valuable. Time is what we exchanging for. Time is what we exchange money for, right? Most people. We exchanging our time to make that money. We exchanging our mental energy, the mental energy that we can be using to create, right? Create our realities for real, the way we want it, right? And most people going to work or whatever is not a part of that reality for real. We know we got to work, right? We can't not work, but we don't have to work as hard as we work. Okay. Still, it's hard not judge the moment and remain open to opportunity when the unknown future spins like a whirlwind through your body and brain. Sometimes our panic or freeze responses rush ahead of us and make it difficult to suspend judgment. Let's talk about some strategies to help us amend panic and fear. Okay. Short circuit fear. Fortunately, a simple, powerful tool to short circuit the panic response is always with us. Our breath. Before I give a talk, when I'm standing off stage listening to my introduction, I'll feel my heart beat faster and my hands getting moist. I've coached people who perform in front of full arenas, and people who present at everyday meetings. And like the rest of us, they feel most of their fear physically. Whether it's performance anxiety or social fears, such as before a job interview or attending a party, our fear manifests in the body. And these bodily cues are the first signals that fear is about to take over. Okay? Panic and freezing are a disconnect between our bodies and our minds. Panic and freezing are a disconnect between our bodies and our minds. Either our bodies go on high alert and rush ahead of our mental processes, or our minds are racing and our bodies start to shut down, right? So we thinking so much, but we can't do nothing. Or we doing so much and we not thinking about nothing, right? It's one or the other. All right. As a monk, I learned a simple breathing exercise to help realign my body and mind and stop fear from stopping me. I still use it every time I'm about to give a talk to a large group, enter a stressful meeting, or go into a room full of people I don't know. Okay, so he got to try this. I'm about to tell us how to do it. Don't panic. Use your breath to realign body and mind. Okay, and this is on page 60 if you had a book and you want to go. Breathe to calm and relax yourself. Okay. Number 1, inhale slowly to a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Exhale slowly to a count of 4 or more. And repeat until you feel your heart rate slow down. Right? So you inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. Pretty simple. It's really that easy. You see, deep breathing activates a part of our nervous system called the vagus nerve, which in turn stimulates a relaxation response throughout our bodies. The simple act of controlled breathing is like flipping a switch that shifts our nervous system from the sympathetic or fight, flight, freeze state to the parasympathetic or rest and digest state, allowing our mind and body to get back in sync. Okay? Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. Try it, y'all. See the whole story. Breath is useful on the spot, but some fears are hard to dispel with our breath alone. When we go through a period of instability, we fear what's ahead. When we know we have a test or a job interview, we fear the outcome. In the moment, we can't see the complete picture. But when the stressful period passes, we never look back to learn from the experience. Life isn't a collection of unrelated events. It's a narrative that stretches into the past and the future. That's nice. Life isn't a collection of unrelated events. It's a narrative that stretches into the past and the future. We are natural storytellers, and we can use that proclivity to our detriment. Now listen, y'all. We are natural storytellers, and we can use that proclivity to our detriment to tell horror stories about possible future events. Okay? Better to try seeing our lives as a single, long, continuing story, not just disconnected pieces, right? It's a book with several chapters, right? And you're supposed to change throughout the book. You're supposed to grow throughout your life. You're not supposed to be the same. Don't let nobody put you in a box, right? And make you think or make you feel like you wanting to grow and you wanting to change is something out of the ordinary, right? It's not. That's what you're supposed to do. When you are hired for a job, take a moment to reflect on all the lost jobs and or failed interviews that led to this victory. You can think of them as necessary challenges along the way. When we learn to stop segmenting experiences and periods of our life and instead see them as scenes and acts in a larger narrative, we gain perspective that helps us deal with fear. Okay? Try this, another one. Expand the moment. Think of something great that happened to you. Perhaps it was the birth of a child or getting that new job you wanted. Let yourself feel that joy for a moment. Now, rewind to the events that occurred just before it. What was going on in your life before the birth of your child or before you were selected for that job? Perhaps it was months and months of trying unsuccessfully to conceive or being rejected from 3 other jobs you'd applied for. Now, try to see that narrative as a whole story, a progression from the bad to the good. Open yourself to the idea that perhaps what happened during the challenging time was actually clearing the way for what you're now celebrating, or made you feel even happier about the experience that came after it. Now, take a moment to express gratitude for those challenges and weave them into the story of your life, right? Admittedly, we do our best celebrating in hindsight. When we are actually experiencing challenges, it's difficult to tell ourselves this could end up being a good thing. But the more we practice looking in the rearview mirror and finding gratitude for the hard times we've experienced, the more we start to change our programming. The gap between suffering and gratitude gets smaller and smaller. And the intensity of our fear in the moments of hardship begins to diminish. Okay? Revisit long-term fears. Panic and freezing can be dealt with using breath and by reframing the circumstances. But these are short-term fear responses. It is much harder to control the 2 long-term strategies we use to distract us from fear: burying and running away. One of my favorite ways to understand how these strategies work involves a house on fire. Let's say you wake up in the middle of the night to your smoke detector beeping. Immediately, you're afraid, as you should be. That signal did its job, which was to get your attention, right? Now you smell smoke. So you gather your family and pets together and you get out of the house, right? This is fear put to its best use. This is fear put to its best use. But what if, upon hearing the smoke alarm, instead of quickly assessing the situation and taking the logical next steps, you hurried over to the smoke detector, removed the battery, and went back to bed? As you can imagine, your problems are about to magnify. Yet, that's what we often do with fear. Instead of assessing and responding, we deny or abandon the situation. Relationships are a space where we commonly use the solution of avoidance. Let's say you're having some major conflict with your girlfriend. Rather than sitting down with her and talking about what's going on, putting out the fire, or even figuring out that you aren't meant to be together, safely and calmly getting everyone out of the house, you pretend everything's fine while the destructive fire burns on. Ooh, I like how he compared that, right? So rather than sitting down with her and talking about what's going on, putting out the fire, or even figuring out that you aren't meant to be together, safely and calmly getting everyone out of the house that's on fire, right? You pretend everything's fine until it just burn up, right? You don't protect yourself or anybody else. You don't protect your heart. You don't protect your inner self. You don't protect nothing. You burn. When we deny fear, our problems follow us. In fact, they're probably getting bigger and bigger. And at some point, something will force us to deal with them. When all else fails, pain does make us pay attention. If we don't learn from the signal that alerts us to a problem, we'll end up learning from the results of the problem itself, which is far less desirable. But if we face our fear, we stay, we deal with the fire, we have the tough conversation, we become stronger as a result. Can y'all give me 1 second? I gotta go get my baby. He's screaming to the top of his lungs. I think he just woke up. I'm so sorry, y'all. I am so sorry that I gotta do this, but I gotta get my baby real quick. I'll be right back, okay, y'all? I'll be right back. It's okay. Yeah, you were scared. You said, where's mommy? All right, y'all, I'm back. I was clearly reading, son. I'm reading right now. Come over here. All right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for understanding. You good? Okay. Perfect. Kyle said, hi, Tony. He said, hi. All right. Perfect. All right, y'all. We almost done, too. So where was I? When we deny fear, our problems follow us. In fact, they're probably getting bigger and bigger. And at some point, something will force us to deal with them. When all else fails, pain does make us pay attention. If we don't learn from the signal that alerts us to a problem, we'll end up learning from the results. Where is it? Force us to deal with them. We'll end up learning from the results of the problem itself, which is far less desirable. But if we face our fear, we stay, we deal with the fire, we have the tough conversation, we become stronger as a result. Okay? The very first lesson the Gita teaches us is how to handle fear. In the moments before the battle starts, when Arjuna is overcome by fear, he doesn't run from it or bury it. He faces it. In the text, Arjuna is a brave and skilled warrior. Yet in this moment, it is fear that causes him, for the first time, to reflect. It's often said that when the fear of staying the same outweighs the fear of change, that is when we change. Now this is true. Okay, MOC for me. Okay, it's often said that when the fear of staying the same outweighs the fear of change, that is when we change, right? When you scared to stay the same because you know it's not, you know what I'm saying? You scared, you know you have to grow. He asked for help in the form of insight and understanding. In that action, he has begun to shift from being controlled by his fear to understanding it. Right? He asked for help in the form of insight and understanding. In that action, he has begun to shift from being controlled by his fear to understanding it. What you run from only stays with you longer, writes the author of the novel Fight Club, Chuck Palahniuk, in his book Invisible Monsters Remix. Find what you're afraid of most and go live there. That day in the basement of the ashram, I opened myself to my deeply held fears about my parents. I rarely experienced panic or freeze reactions, but that didn't mean I had no fears. It meant I was pushing them down. As my teacher said, when fear is buried, it's something we cling to. And it makes everything feel tight because we're under this burden of things we've never released. Okay? When fear is buried, right? When we try to just block it away and forget about it and don't acknowledge it or don't, confront it, it feels like you feel that weight. You feel that burying of something, right? You need to release it. Whether you suppress them or run away from them, your fears and your problems remain with you, and they accumulate. We used to think it didn't matter if we dumped our trash in landfills without regard for the environment. If we couldn't see it or smell it, we figured it would somehow just take care of itself. Yet, before regulation, landfills polluted water supplies. And even today, they are one of the largest producers of human-generated methane gas in the United States. In the same way, burying our fears takes an unseen toll on our internal landscape, right? So it might make us feel good on the outside to avoid the fear, right? To not go to the party because it's people we don't know or whatever. It might make us feel good on the outside, but internally it's damaging us, right? It's damaging our self-esteem. It's damaging our self-image. It's damaging our self-worth. It's damaging our ability to view life from its highest, right? To feel worthy of receiving all of the abundant things that we are born to receive, right? It's our birthright. Try this. Dive into your fears. As we did at the ashram, take a deep dive into your fears. At first, a few surface level fears will pop up. Stay with the exercise, asking yourself, what am I really afraid of? And larger and deeper fears will begin to reveal themselves. These answers don't usually come all at once. Typically, it takes some time to sink below the layers to the real root of your fears. Be open to the answers revealing itself over time. And maybe not even during a meditation or other focused session. You may be at the grocery store selecting avocados one day when all of a sudden it dawns on you, right? That's just how we operate. So just be open to whatever you are receiving. Don't try to control how it should come or when it should come, if it should come in a meditation, right? When you start doing these action steps, when you start uncovering these parts of yourself, the things that you are fearful of, just be honest. I think being honest is the number one thing that'll help us. Being honest with ourselves, right? When those things do come up, they came up in our mind for a reason. So acknowledge them and be honest with yourself. Even if it's something that you're not proud of, right? You have to be honest because you can't heal what you have. Going through the processes of acknowledging fear, observing our patterns for dealing with it, addressing and amending those patterns helps us to reprogram our view of fear from something that's inherently negative to a neutral signal, or even an indicator of opportunity, right? An indicator of opportunity to grow. When we reclassify fear, we can look past the smoke and stories to what's real. And in so doing, uncover deep and meaningful truths that can inform and empower us. When we identify our attachment related fears and instead foster detachment, we can live with a greater sense of freedom and enjoyment. And when we channel the energy behind our fears towards service, we diminish our fear of not having enough, right? And feel happier, more fulfilled, and more connected to the world around us. Fear motivates us. Sometimes it motivates us toward what we want. But sometimes, if we aren't careful, it limits us with what we think will keep us safe. Okay? Next, we will look at our primary motivators. Fear is one of the four, and how we can deliberately use them to build a fulfilling life. Okay, so yay, finish that chapter up. Chapter 3 is done, just like that. And chapter 4 tomorrow is all about intention. So we'll be talking about how to be intentional with things, right? But drop me a 111 if you took value from that. If you took value from the fear section chapter. I definitely took a lot of value from this, y'all. I don't believe that I'm super fearful of a lot of things, but I do have a couple fears, right? I fear me and my daughter having like a rocky relationship when she get older, and us not having that nice close bond that I want. You know what I'm saying? Like certain stuff like that. It is certain things that I fear, but I know what to do with that fear now, right? This is an opportunity for me to do whatever I need to do, make the adjustments that I need to make now before that gets here. And then I'm just stuck with it, right? I'm just stuck with the results. Like, no, I have a say-so in this situation. I have power in this situation. So you have power in this situation as well. Whatever you are fearful of, whatever is stopping you from doing what you want to do, I want you. Forget you then. Whatever is stopping you from doing what you want to do, you have to be willing to discern it. First of all, acknowledge it and then discern it, right? Break it down. Figure out how you're going to get on top of it and not let it get on top of you. Okay, family? So that is it, y'all. I'm so super grateful, super blessed. We got a little visitor. He being a little mean, but he just woke up, right? Say bye-bye. Okay, he said bye-bye for us. So listen, y'all, protect y'all energy today. Protect y'all peace. Don't be scared of nothing, because everything that you need is within. All of the resources, all of the strength, all of whatever you think you need, it resides inside of you. So instead of focusing your energy on the fear, focus on developing a healthier self-image, right? Focus on developing that self-confidence, that self-worth, to be able to step in any room and feel like you are it, right? Because you are it. We are all it in our own right. Okay. We are all unique. We all contribute something magnificent to this universe. And that's what we were sent here to do. And I appreciate you for all of your gifts that you bring here. I'm grateful for being able to bestow my gift upon you guys. And yeah, that's it. I am your sister in love. I am your sister in light. I appreciate y'all. And we'll be right back in the morning with chapter 4, which is all about intention. Okay. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to my page. It is I Coach Wealth on YouTube. So go ahead and subscribe, like, and comment on the replay video if you go back and watch it. And that's it, y'all. I'm grateful and I'm out. Bye. Tony, why you doing that, man?